video, we're going to talk about the percent proportion. And the percent proportion is something that helps us when we're solving for a statement, looking for percentages or other numbers, but we're still dealing with a proportion. So we know how to solve proportions. It's when you have two equivalent ratios and you're looking for a missing number. Now this one, we're still using a proportion, but this time we're going to be looking for a percentage of some number. So the percent proportion helps us when we want to know a percentage of a number. We've got to remember this proportion. Is over of equals percent over 100. And of course we always put percent over 100. That's how we drop the percent sign. So let's say we have 96 is what percent of 400? And that's how a question might be worded when we're going to deal with the percent proportion. So the hardest part about using a percent proportion or a question that involves it is you have to figure out what goes where. You have to determine what's going to go where the is, what goes where the of is, what goes where the percent is. The 100 is always going to be there. So if we looked at this question, we have 96 is. Well, that tells you that this 96 is going to go where the is in this equation. The what percent part tells us that we are looking for the percentage. So that tells us that our x, or our variable, is going to go right here over our 100. If you keep looking at our question, we have of 400. Well, that tells you, because the word of is in front of it, 400 is going to go down here under our 96 in this case. So now we can set up our proportion. Here it is, 96 over 400, because we had our is over our of, equals x, because remember we're looking for what percent, and then as I said, always going to have a 100 in the percent proportion. Okay, so now we can cross multiply as you always do in a proportion. So 400 times x equals 96 times 100, or 9600. When we divide by 400, we get 24. Well, and in this case, it's not just 24, it's percent, because remember, whoops, I made that upside down, but that's okay. Our question was asking what percent. So in this case, 96 is 24% of 400. So we've answered our question. So let's do some more examples. Again, this is your proportion you want to remember. Is over of equals percent over 100. And the hardest part is going to be deciding what goes here, here, and here. The 100 is not going anywhere. Okay, so let's look at this first one. 8 is 1% of what number? So remember, this is our proportion, is over of equals percent over 100. So I already know when I go to solve this problem that 100 is going down here. What else do I know? Well, I know that I'm dealing with 1%. Well, I can drop the percent. I've got the 100 there, so I can just write 1. So I need to figure out is over of. So what do I know? Here's 8 is. So that means this 8 that's with my is going here. What am I looking for? Of what number? So that means that here under the 8 is going to be my variable. So when I cross multiply, I'm going to get x times 1, or just x. 8 times 100, or 800. So 8 is 1% of what number? Well, according to this, 8 is 1% of 800. So if I typed that in here, 0.01 times 800 is 8. So that is correct. And how did I do that? If I'm looking for a percentage of a number, I can just do 0.01 times 800. Percent of a number, you don't actually have to do the whole thing. I got 8. Remember that to change from a number to a percent, from a percent to a number, I move it over twice. Alright, so now let's look at this. Find 5.6% of 1,050. So again, I know my 100's going here. 5.6%, here's my percent. I can just put 5.6 over here. I don't have to do the whole change from a percent to a number thing. If I'm putting it over 100, it does it for me. So now I've got to go over here. Well, here's of 1050 So obviously, since this is my of, 1050 must go here. So the only thing left without a number is my is number. But wait, my equation or my problem doesn't say is. No, it doesn't. Instead, it says find. Sometimes we'll see the word find instead of is, and that's okay. So in this case, instead of an is word, we had the word find, and it's substituted in. So this time, when we cross multiply, I'm going to get 100x equals 1050 times 5.6. I can't do that in my head. I would guess that neither can you. So 1050, this time I get 5,880. Now, I'm going to divide that by 100, and I find that x equals 58.8, which makes logical sense. So 5.6% of 10,050 is 58.8. So let's do one more, okay? So this time, 157 is, so that means that 157 is my is number. What percent? So what am I looking for in this problem? I'm looking for the percent of 2512. So 2512 is obviously my of number. So here's my proportion. When I go to solve, I'm going to do 2512 times x and 100 times 157. And again, I think I'll do this one in my calculator. I could obviously multiply that here in my head, but we'll do it this way. 2512x. Definitely not going to divide that one in my head. I find out that x equals 6.25%. And that is how you use the percent proportion. Again, what you need to remember is over of equals percent over 100. This is what you need to apply to your problems when you're using the percent proportion. So be ready when you get to class tomorrow to apply the percent proportion to a whole bunch of problems. See you then.